Welcome back to Power Unchecked. Last time, we exposed the elegant systems protecting the powerful. Today, we're entering the battlefield of your mind, where manipulation turns your thoughts into contested ground. This isn't about grand protective architecture anymore. This is about the intimate violation that happens when someone decides your reality needs: editing. Look, here's what the data shows. Sophisticated power plays don't target your beliefs. They hijack how you think. Physical force is crude, obvious. It leaves evidence. But psychological manipulation, that's the precision instrument of control. It rewrites your cognitive operating system while convincing you the updates were your idea. The research reveals something chilling about cognitive hijacking. It's the systematic exploitation of how your brain processes information. Your need for belonging becomes recruitment material. Your craving for certainty transforms into loyalty. Your desire for validation morphs into dependence. And here's the truly insidious evolution. Artificial intelligence now learns your vulnerabilities faster than you develop self-awareness. Machine learning analyzes your behavioral patterns. It discovers individual weak points. Then it creates personalized manipulation faster than human awareness can adapt. We're facing psychological warfare with artificial intelligence as the operator. Manipulation isn't a predator's quirk. It's calculated technology exploiting power gaps. Strip away the academic language, and you'll see systematic technology that operates wherever significant power gradients exist. When someone holds substantially more resources, information, or social influence than you do, they can perform surgery on your sense of reality. This pattern repeats across every human context because it exploits fundamental architecture in how our minds work. The research reveals specific mechanisms that make manipulation predictable rather than random. Power gradients create systematic opportunities. Resource asymmetries enable vulnerability exploitation. Information control becomes reality control. Here's what neuroscience reveals about why this works. Your brain isn't a fortress protecting objective truth. It's more like a negotiating committee. This committee constantly weighs social pressures, emotional needs, and cognitive shortcuts. When overwhelmed or isolated, it starts accepting deals it would never make under normal circumstances. The committee gets hijacked through specific mechanisms. Cognitive overwhelm shuts down critical evaluation. Social isolation removes external reality checks. Emotional manipulation triggers survival responses that bypass rational analysis. This isn't weakness. It's how human brains are designed to function in social environments. When manipulation takes hold, you start doubting yourself. A voice whispers, "Maybe I deserve this." That's not your conscience. That's the manipulation sinking in. What makes this devastating is how it exploits the just world fallacy, our deep need to believe outcomes are deserved. The manipulation doesn't just change what you think. It hijacks your psychological immune system. Your brain's natural defenses against false information get reprogrammed to serve the manipulator's agenda. Soon you're defending their narrative as if it were your own insight. Gaslighting isn't just lying. It's a calculated assault on your reality designed to unravel your sanity. Real gaslighting represents a systematic campaign to make you distrust your own perception, memory, and judgment. Think of it as a virus that infects your perception, quietly spreading doubt until you can't trust your own mind. The research identifies 3 distinct approaches: glamour gaslighting through subtle charm, good guy gaslighting behind benevolent facades, intimidator gaslighting through direct fear tactics. Each exploits different psychological vulnerabilities, but all target the same goal: your confidence in your own reality. The documented escalation follows a predictable pattern. Stage 1, minor contradictions. That's not what I said when you both know it is. Stage 2, major denials. That never happened about events with witnesses. Stage 3, total reality inversion. You're the manipulative one when you call out the manipulation. Each stage systematically weakens confidence in your own perceptions. By the final stage, you're questioning not just specific events, but your entire capacity for accurate perception. The gaslighter has successfully trained you to doubt your own mind before trusting external reality. What makes this devastatingly effective isn't just the lies. It's how they exploit memory's reconstructive nature. Human memory isn't video recording. It's more like a Wikipedia page that gets edited every time you access it. Gaslighters intuitively understand this neurological reality and use doubt to trigger your own mind to start editing memories. Picture someone who starts doubting a casual remark they made last week. Over time, they're apologizing for things they never did, trapped in a cycle of confusion. The gaslighter doesn't need to change your memories, they just need to make you distrust them enough that you edit them yourself. Here's the game changer: manipulation fueled by your data. Every click builds their blueprint to control you. This isn't crude propaganda. It's bespoke reality construction, precisely calibrated to your psychological profile. Manipulators use data analytics to pinpoint your values and triggers, tailoring their approach with precision. Your behavioral data creates a psychological vulnerability profile. Every digital interaction provides information for customizing manipulation specifically to your psychological patterns. They don't guess what you value. They analyze your digital behavior to discover triggers for loyalty, growth, protection, understanding. Notice the narrative templates designed to hijack your values. I'm the only one who really understands you. This seems harsh, but I'm helping you grow. I'm protecting you from a world that would destroy you. These stories position control as salvation, manipulation as protection. They're not asking you to abandon your values. They're weaponizing your values to serve their agenda. The brilliance lies in how this feels like insight rather than manipulation. When someone reshapes your reality, they won't announce it. They'll make it feel like you're finally seeing clearly for the first time. Your values become the very weapons used against your independence. And deepfakes? They're gaslighting on steroids, making you doubt your own eyes. We're witnessing the industrialization of psychological manipulation. What used to require intuitive skill can now be automated at unprecedented scale. Social media algorithms conduct real-time psychological experiments to determine which narratives will reshape your behavior most effectively. EEG research reveals that presumed deepfake content fundamentally alters brain responses, creating dampening effects on perceptual, emotional, and evaluative processing. It's not just about believing fake content, it's about losing trust in all content, all evidence, all shared reality. Cults are R&D labs for mind control, perfecting tricks that spread to boardrooms, campaigns, and even your home. They function as laboratories for psychological control, refining techniques that get systematically exported into corporate environments, political movements, and personal relationships. The methodology follows a consistent pattern: isolation, information saturation, and reality replacement. Target identification happens during vulnerability windows. Transitions, trauma, disconnection. Love bombing creates artificial emotional highs that become your baseline. When that incredible validation inevitably decreases, you don't think, "This treatment is wrong." You think, "What did I do wrong?" The cult doesn't punish you. You punish yourself trying to earn back that artificial paradise. Information control operates through cognitive overwhelm, not just censorship. They flood targets with internal content. Lectures, readings, meetings, activities, until consuming anything else feels impossible. Your cognitive resources become so saturated with their information that external perspectives become literally unthinkable. Meanwhile, they reframe outside information as contaminated. The world doesn't understand. Media coverage is persecution. This creates an information immune system that rejects external reality as infection. You're not being censored. You're being cognitively overwhelmed until outside perspectives become psychologically impossible to process. Imagine a group that starts with endless praise, then slowly cuts you off from friends. Soon, you're reliant on their version of truth. Love bombing creates artificially elevated emotional baseline impossible to maintain. When withdrawal triggers self-punishment rather than recognition of manipulation, victims work desperately to earn back manufactured emotional paradise. The research reveals this phase as particularly crucial because that incredible high becomes psychologically addictive. You'll sacrifice increasing amounts of autonomy, resources, and relationships to maintain access to that artificial emotional state. It's not love. It's manufactured dependency disguised as affection. Campaigns know you better than you do, using your data to steer your vote. Political manipulation scales personal techniques to millions of targets simultaneously. Here's what should terrify everyone. Campaigns now possess more psychological data about voters than most people have about themselves. They're not responding to public opinion. They're manufacturing it with surgical precision. Micro-targeting creates separate realities for different demographic groups. Each receives customized reality, precisely calibrated to their fears, hopes, and emotional triggers. It's not that people choose different interpretations. They're being served different facts through algorithmic curation designed to eliminate shared truth. Notice how different groups seem to live in completely different realities during elections? That's not natural polarization. That's engineered reality fragmentation. Algorithmic curation eliminates shared factual foundations for democratic discourse. Reality fragmentation appears organic, but results from systematic engineering. When information feeds become completely customized, democratic discourse becomes impossible. You can't debate people living in fundamentally different factual universes. That's not democracy failing. That's democracy being systematically undermined through information warfare. Us versus them isn't just division. It's a survival trap, turning nuance into loyalty tests. When you convince people they face existential threat, critical thinking systems shut down in favor of survival mode. Complex issues get reduced to binary loyalty tests. Nuanced positions become impossible. This isn't political passion. It's manufactured psychological emergency designed to bypass rational evaluation entirely. Existential threat narratives trigger survival mode over critical thinking. Complex political issues systematically reduced to binary loyalty tests. Manufactured emergencies eliminate cognitive space for nuanced analysis. Every day, corporations trick you into thinking you're free when you're really following their script. Corporate psychological manipulation represents the most sophisticated form we encounter daily, precisely because it feels like personal choice. They've mastered making exploitation feel like empowerment. Strip away the marketing language, and you'll see systematic behavioral modification disguised as consumer freedom. Here's the core shift in corporate strategy. They don't sell products anymore. They sell identities. This isn't just technology, it's who you are. This isn't just consumption, it's authentic self-expression. When they attach products to identity, you defend their brand like you're defending yourself. Brand loyalty transforms into psychological self-defense against identity threats. When criticism of a product feels like personal attack, they've successfully merged your identity with their profit agenda. You're not defending a company. You're defending your sense of self that they've systematically attached to their products. This represents the ultimate sophistication in manipulation, making control feel like liberation, making consumption feel like self-expression, making dependency feel like empowerment. The most effective manipulation doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like insight, growth, protection, empowerment. Those badges and notifications, they're not fun. They're addiction engineered for profit. Gamification hijacks neurochemical reward systems for corporate benefit. Every notification, streak, achievement badge gets calibrated to trigger dopamine responses that create behavioral addictions serving corporate interests. They're not making life more engaging. They're weaponizing your brain chemistry for profit maximization. Gamification hijacks neurochemical reward systems for profit extraction. Notifications and achievements create manufactured dopamine addiction cycles. Behavioral addiction disguised as entertainment and personal improvement. Widespread manipulation shatters truth, leaving society in chaos, ripe for control. Let me be precise about what prolonged psychological manipulation actually does to people. Brilliant, accomplished individuals get reduced to questioning their own memories about recent events. People start apologizing for completely reasonable reactions because they've been trained to doubt their emotional responses through systematic invalidation. The chronic self-doubt extends to meta-questions. If I was fooled by this, what else am I wrong about? This secondary trauma often proves more destructive than original manipulation because it undermines confidence in all future decisions. You become afraid of your own judgment, creating ongoing vulnerability to future manipulation attempts. Fear of personal decision-making creates persistent vulnerability to manipulation. Meta-doubt about cognitive abilities generates self-reinforcing insecurity cycles. Secondary trauma from questioning overall judgment capacity proves most destructive. Victims become afraid to trust their own perceptions about anything, creating permanent psychological dependency on external validation. This represents psychological colonization. Your mind becomes occupied territory where you can't trust your own judgment without external permission. The manipulation succeeds when you become your own oppressor, policing your thoughts and perceptions according to the manipulator's standards. When truth fractures, democracy falters. On a societal level, widespread manipulation creates epistemic chaos, breakdown in collective ability to distinguish truth from fiction, legitimate authority from manufactured authority. When everyone's reality is customized through algorithmic manipulation, we lose the shared factual foundation necessary for democratic discourse and governance. Customized realities eliminate shared factual foundations for democratic discourse. Information fragmentation makes collective decision-making impossible. Without shared truth, democratic debate becomes impossible. Society fragments into incompatible reality bubbles that can't communicate meaningfully with each other. The best defense? Doubt yourself. Question everything, especially what feels certain. Here's what the research reveals about building resistance. Resilience isn't about intelligence or strength. It's about systematic suspicion of your own certainty. The most manipulable people aren't unintelligent. They're people absolutely confident they can't be manipulated. Confidence in manipulation immunity creates maximum vulnerability to influence. Intelligence provides no protection against sophisticated psychological manipulation. Cognitive resilience requires systematic questioning of personal certainty. The moment you feel absolutely sure about something, especially something that makes you feel morally superior or uniquely insightful, that's when you need the strongest possible counterarguments. Treat beliefs like scientific hypotheses requiring constant testing, not to abandon positions, but to stress test them against reality and opposing viewpoints. Strongest counterarguments provide essential stress testing for reasoning processes. Certainty and moral superiority feelings signal need for increased scrutiny. When you find yourself in intellectual comfort, that often signals incomplete understanding rather than superior insight. Discomfort with opposing views suggests your beliefs might be more fragile than you think. Strong beliefs should welcome the strongest challenges, not fear them. Diversify your information sources like investment portfolio management. If all your sources share the same perspective, you're not informed. You're indoctrinated. Information diversity prevents ideological indoctrination disguised as education. Maintain relationships with people who challenge you without trying to control you. There's a crucial difference between manipulation and genuine intellectual challenge. Genuine challenge strengthens reasoning while manipulation creates dependence. Intellectual challenge helps you think better. Manipulation makes you think less. One builds your capacity for independent judgment, the other destroys it. Here's the truth: manipulation isn't a flaw. It's a system built to control. This represents systematic control technology, not individual pathology. Power gradients create opportunities. Cognitive biases provide vulnerabilities. Modern technology scales everything to unprecedented levels. The convergence of behavioral data, artificial intelligence, and psychological research has created perfect conditions for mass manipulation. Scale and precision of modern influence operations exceed all historical precedent. What used to require intuitive skill and personal interaction can now be automated and deployed against millions simultaneously. We're not just facing individual manipulators anymore. We're facing manipulation systems that operate with artificial intelligence and unlimited resources. The most effective manipulation doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like insight, growth, protection, empowerment. When someone reshapes your reality, they won't announce it. They'll make it feel like you're finally seeing clearly for the first time. This represents the ultimate sophistication, making control feel like liberation. Reality reshaping feels like clarity rather than confusion to victims. Most dangerous control presents itself as liberation from previous constraints. The manipulation succeeds when victims defend it as personal insight rather than external influence. Your behavioral data is your psychological vulnerability profile. Every digital interaction provides information for customizing manipulation specifically to your psychological patterns. Privacy isn't about hiding embarrassing information. It's preventing your mind from being weaponized against you through personalized influence campaigns designed to exploit your specific cognitive and emotional patterns. Digital behavioral data creates personalized psychological vulnerability profiles. Privacy protection prevents weaponization of personal information against individual minds. Customized manipulation proves exponentially more effective than broad-spectrum approaches because it exploits your specific psychological architecture rather than general human vulnerabilities. That concludes episode 3, where we've examined how psychological manipulation transforms your mind into contested territory where someone else chooses the weapons. Next time, in episode 4, the spectacle of control will uncover how media turns your screen into a manipulation machine and what you can do to fight back. We'll examine how individual manipulation techniques get amplified through entertainment, news, and social platforms to shape entire populations' understanding of reality. Understanding manipulation means confronting the possibility that some of your most valued beliefs, relationships, or institutions might not be what they appear. That discomfort isn't a flaw in your psychological system. It's protection for beliefs you've invested in. But temporary discomfort in service of long-term clarity beats permanent manipulation. Psychological discomfort protects invested beliefs, but limits growth. Temporary discomfort proves worthwhile for long-term cognitive protection. Your willingness to examine these realities makes you a less manipulable person and a more conscious participant in your own cognitive sovereignty. The goal isn't paranoia, it's informed awareness. When you understand how manipulation works, you can recognize it. When you can recognize it, you can resist it. When you can resist it, you retain the capacity for independent thought in a world designed to eliminate it. Join me next time as we continue mapping territories where power operates unchecked and discover how individual manipulation scales to societal control. Individual manipulation techniques scale systematically to societal control mechanisms. The same psychological vulnerabilities that make individuals susceptible make entire populations manipulable when exploited through mass media systems. Remember, they've played the long game. When do we start playing ours?